I'm Nancy. I'm a compulsive overeater. I weigh and measure my 3 meals a day from the Gray Sheet. I write them down every night. I call into my sponsor every morning on time. I don't eat anything in between, no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life, without exception. And I love this program. It's changed my life. I'm first I'll say happy first day of winter, or not. I don't, depending on where you live. We just had 3 inches of snow. Don't love it, but here we are. And I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, and I realized that there's a lot of people here that I don't know. And I go to Zoom meetings. I go every day. I go to at least one Zoom meeting, and because it's fun, and I get to see my people, and I get to hear the word, as they say, and I get to hear weigh and measure no matter what. And I get to hear the only requirement for Gray Sheet membership is a desire to stop eating compulsively. So we are a big tent, and we include everybody. All you need is to want to stop eating compulsively. So that's always something that I like to keep in mind. So since there's so many people that I don't know here, I will just I'll give a quick overview of my story, because there's something particular that I thought I'd like to talk about today. I was a compulsive eater from the get-go. I think I popped out that way, and I stayed that way. And I was a really fat kid, and I had all the trauma that a fat kid goes through in school and everything else. Luckily, I was a straight A student, so that's how I got around that. I got this curly, crazy hair, and I got glasses, and I was a fat kid. So there you go. And I don't think my mom had much fashion sense either. So there's that. But anyway, I survived. I had a few instances of normal weight, not very many. I think I got down to a normal weight for 5 minutes in Weight Watchers, and another 5 minutes in OA. And so I ended up in OA. Somebody 12-stepped me. I was there for 11 years. It worked until it didn't work. I threw out the baby with the bathwater. I said, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of working on myself. I don't want to do this anymore. I need a break. Well, let me tell you, I do not recommend taking a break, because the break lasted 10 years. It was way too long. 10 years and 100 pounds. How's that? So, I should say my abstinence date is March 18th, 2007. And right now I'm keeping off 95 pounds for 17 and 3/4 years, which is really amazing, because all the literature says that people don't make it past 5 years, right? What the recidivism rate is really high, or just about 90.9, right, percent. So anyway, here we are in Gray Sheet, and we can dispute that fact, but there's not enough people listening to us. In any case, after those 10 years, I got to the point where I was falling apart. I was having trouble walking. I saw a couple of knee replacements in my future. High blood pressure. All the stuff that goes with being obese. So I was probably over 240 pounds. You get to the point where I was so disgusted that I just didn't even want to get on the scale. You know how that is. So you don't really know. I shouldn't say you. I don't really know what my top weight was, but that was about where I made it to, that I remember. And so by the time I got here, I was falling apart. And my story is that I'm an artist. I belong to an art organization, and a couple of people that I hadn't seen in a really long time, I ran into them in the space of 3 days. The first one, I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Which is what anybody that's always been on a diet is asking. That's the first question. Give me the magic. Give me the magic. And she said, "Oh, I go to Gray Sheet." And I said, wow, Gray Sheet. I remember Gray Sheet when OA had Gray Sheet, and that was how I lost my weight. Thanks. That was how I lost my weight in Gray Sheet. And then I said, okay, that's interesting. Gray Sheet still exists. Then 2 days later, I ran into somebody else. Same thing from my art group. She had also lost a ton of weight. And I said, all right, Nance, get in the rowboat. The universe is sending a boat. Get yourself in the damn boat and get on with it, because this is untenable. I was really, I don't have to tell you about the self-loathing and the disgust and the fear of getting sick and that's what keeps me here, frankly. What keeps me here in Gray Sheet after these 17 plus years is I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. I was really on my way. Both my parents died of this disease. I come by it honestly. They had everything in the books, and I knew that was going to be my lot if I didn't do something about it. So I came, and they tell me I came kicking and screaming. I don't remember. I just remember this huge sense of relief, the big, I'm safe. I finally feel safe. There were a lot of things that I was concerned about at the beginning. It feels a little culty here. There's this weird thing that they say at the beginning, and it sounds like some kind of weird mantra. Well, sure enough, you call it the mantra, right? Well, but it's not so weird. I think it saved my life. So here I am, 17 years later, and then some. And because I have gone through the steps, I'll just say that I'm an atheist. And if you're an atheist, you can still do this program because all you need to do is have a desire to stop eating compulsively. And whether you are a believer or a non-believer, you can still be at day one all the time, or you can still rack up a ton of years, like a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have decades and decades in Gray Sheet and think a little bit like I do. So anyway, there I was. And because of this program, one of the best things that happened to me, besides getting my life back, and is that I was able to repair a really long rift with my daughter, probably about 25 years, which is a long time. I only have one kid. And I thought, I really struck out. I just got one kid, and I have this crappy relationship with my daughter. And what am I going to do? I was an addict. I raised a kid. I was I was married. I got divorced after 14 years. And then everything hit the fan. And, my kid and I did not get along for 25 years. Well, I'm going along through this. One thing I did was I always made sure that the ball was in her court. That was one thing I did. I never kicked her to the curb. She kicked me to the curb, but I didn't care. I just kept, I made sure the ball was in her court. And over time, and doing the steps and working on myself and cleaning up my side of the street and making my amends. And she was my last and hardest amend that I had to make. And I did. So we are, at that time she said, I've been waiting all my life for you to tell me that. That's what she said. So there was another dagger in my heart. But I had to accept it. I was an addict. I wasn't present. That's what it really boils down to. When you're an addict, you're not present for others. I wasn't present for myself, for that matter. But in any case, time heals wounds, and it took a long time. But I was just thinking that this sort of a miraculous thing happened the other day. We are talking now, and we even chat just for chatting's sake, not for any other reason, but which is a miracle in and of itself. But she likes to gamble, so that really makes me very nervous. I'm pretty frugal, and I don't like to waste a nickel. And if I gamble, I'm using $1 and I'm taking 100 pennies, and that's what I put in the slots. So, but I don't like it very much. It's boring to me, but she really likes it. 5 more minutes. Okay, thanks. And just it makes me uncomfortable. I'm concerned about it, but I have to be really, really careful. And just the other day, I was watching this really interesting show on TV. I talked about it at a meeting the other day. It's called You Can't Ask That. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's on Netflix. And they basically get a group of people and they sit them down and they ask them questions that people wouldn't ask. One of the there's 30-minute segments. One of the segments was called, Why Are You So Fat? That was one of the segments. It's very interesting. So they get overweight people and they talk to them. It's Australian. I guess they're a little bit gutsier than we are here. And one of the other segments was about gambling. And they talked about, they talked about the addiction and how a lot of people ended up on the streets. They lost their houses. They lost their families. I mean, I could feel the pain of that. Of course, the Why Are You So Fat one was really hit home. But the gambling thing also really has always made me nervous about my kid. And so we often talk about good shows that we're watching on TV because I think because of COVID, TV got way better, I think. So I watch too much. But in any case, the show's very interesting, and there are a lot of different kinds of topics that they cover. And I said to her, I just watched this really great show and blah, blah, blah. And then the next time I talked to her, I said, there was one on there about gambling. I said, it was really, I texted it. I just watched the show and there was one about gambling. And I really identified with that sense of addiction and not being able to stop no matter what, because that's where I was, eating and crying and saying, why can't I stop? By the time I got here. And I said, and I sort of let it there. I said, what do you think about it? That's what I said. And I pressed that send button. And the minute I pressed it, I went, damn, I shouldn't have done it. Well, here's the miracle. Instead of coming back at me, which she would have done in the past, with all kinds of, you criticize everything I do. I can't do anything to please, blah, 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 blah. She came back with a really thoughtful response. And she said, she also said, I'm very frugal. And I know, and I could do 10 times as much, and I still wouldn't be hurting my, our finances, and I realize that sometimes I have to think about doing things that I enjoy, and I enjoy this. So I thought, this is a first, that we didn't get into this great big thing where we're not talking again for another 25 years, and I thought, wow, here are two adults. I mean, she's 50 years old, man. I am 74 years old, and here I am, walking on eggshells. But I thought, wow, this is really a miracle. This is a miracle that we are two adults having a conversation. At this level, it was really a first. So that's kind of been on my mind, and thinking, wow, I am so lucky that I stumbled into this place. And I did get in that rowboat. As much as I hated being where I was, I didn't hate being in Grey Sheet. I love stories, so I love to hear your stories. You are the people that saved my life, and I call it Grey Sheet University. I got 1 minute. Thanks. That's really great. Thank you. Good timing. And it's just, what do they say? Everything I learned in kindergarten. Well, this is my kindergarten and my university. And if I have something that I have to deal with, there's a gazillion people now that I can tap into for your knowledge and your help to get through. Yeah. I think I only have a few seconds left. 30 seconds? Well, people have gotten me out of scrapes in really weird situations, and I've managed to stay abstinent, thank goodness, and a lot of traveling and that sort of thing. So I have a great life. I do my art. I have my friends, have my art friends, have my Grey Sheet pals. I'm just really, really lucky. So I don't know. Gratitude is my watchword. I'll end it there. Thanks.